Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies, to an episode we are calling Questionable Taste. This episode is going to be all about movies we love that other people hate, and it is, of course, the companion piece to Avoid Yar, which were movies we hate that everybody else loves. We all know that Pitu has extremely questionable taste.
I do.
And so do I, and so do all of you, because I asked Twitter, tell me about some movies you love that everybody else hates. And the answers I got are amazing, because sometimes I think I had no idea people hated that movie. Of course I love that movie. And other times I thought, oh, you love that movie? But before we divulge some of ours, we wanted to go over some of these responses I got, because they're broad, let's just say. And I will point out two major themes. One major theme is Yash Raj films.
Okay.
I didn't know that, I mean, with one exception, which I'll get to, I thought Yash Raj films were generally like fine, if not,
right.
And obviously a lot of them are beloved, but I hate is not a thing that I would apply to any of them except for one, which we'll get to. And then the other sub theme is Shahrukh films, which might just be because of who I know and who recognizes me as a safe person to say this to, because as demonstrated, we are both fans. And I did tell people this was for a podcast, so they were warned. And I won't assign names to any of these. But anyway, so let me read you some of these films.
Okay.
What's Your Rashi came in with 3 votes for people who love it. I thought I liked that film okay, and it's certainly one of Priyanka's stronger performances, in my opinion.
I actually really like the music of that movie, and I had the music on my iPad, and I was very embarrassed to let people know this.
I remember that title song. It's pretty catchy. Like, it's fine. It's fine.
Also, Harman Bhaveja was very attractive and had a lot of potential, but he was kind of like Garibo ka Hrithik, he's like cocky Hrithik.
Yeah.
But I thought it was really fine, and I don't know why he disappeared, because I thought he had talent, but apparently I'm the only one who thinks that.
He did Love Story 2050. Remember?
Yes, which we have not seen. It had a pink teddy bear in it.
I think that's where he went. Oh, yeah. Again, it's not good, but I feel like there are worse films out there.
Yeah.
Okay, on the topic of Yash Raj, we have Jum Bar Bar Jum came in with a couple of votes. I like that film.
That's in my list. I really enjoy that film. And I remember wishing my dentist was like Bobby Deol, which he's not. My dentist is very boring.
Oh. My dentist is also not like Bobby Deol.
No, my dentist actually yells at you. Like, he yelled at my husband because he discovered that my husband loves dark coffee and especially espresso. And the weird thing is, our dentist is Italian American. His name is Dr. Carly. And he was literally like, you should not drink dark coffee or espresso or red wine. All of these things will stain your teeth and spoil the enamel. And I remember thinking, why are you not like Bobby Deol in Jum Barabar Jum? That's how a dentist is supposed to be, like just dancing Bhangra all the time and being cheerful and jolly instead of yelling at us.
Another one that came up multiple times is Tashan.
Okay, no. That is terrible.
I disagree. I enjoyed that film, but this, I think, is going to be those of us who like 70s masala and those of us who don't really. So that to me, it falls under that category. Here's the movie I don't even remember having heard of, Awarapan.
Awarapan? I don't know this movie. Is this Imran Hashmi?
Yes.
I've not seen it.
Yeah. No comment. Sawaria.
Awful.
Yeah, I did not like it, but it's pretty, and that can carry a lot. And it has Rani in it, and she's good.
She is actually really good in that movie. I love her in that movie. She's so sassy and cute, and she looks hot as heck. Yeah. There's this song she does. I forget, like, I know the tune, but I forget the words, and she's really good in it. She has amazing screen presence.
Yeah, she's good. Let me read you some of these others. I'll just kind of, and another one that came in with a whole lot of votes is Tismar Khan.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I have seen it. I don't think it's good, but I certainly don't hate it.
Okay.
Okay. Pataka. I do not know this film. Dodd.
That was in my list too. I love Dodd.
Tell us,
Okay, so
tell me
I
about it.
saw God in the movie theater when it was released. I was very young and I insisted that all my friends had to go, and they knew I had questionable taste, but they were like, fine. So they went with me. I had a gala time. I enjoyed myself tremendously. I have the soundtrack. I really like it. And Shabba Shabba Hai Rabba is one of my most favorite songs of all time. So I love that movie, and I don't know why it gets so much hate. I feel like if
Hmm.
you like Rangira, you should like Dod, but no one seems to agree with me. I'm like, they're both
Oh,
RGB, they're both Urmila. Why don't you like it? And they're like, no, Rangila good, Dod bad. But I stand
okay.
by my Dod fandom.
Maybe that's what I'll watch tonight, because
It's
that is
good.
very intriguing to me, because I like Rangila,
Yeah.
of course. Everybody does.
Yeah. And it has this really good song too, Oh Bhavre. Like,
Hmm.
honestly, the music is so good. And Urmila looks like a snack. And stoned out Sanjay Dutt, which, when is he not stoned? Stoned Sanjay Dutt in that song is really good in Shabba Shabba.
Oh, okay. That okay. Like that. Okay, here's one that I do question. Pyar Impossible.
Is that the one with Uday Chopra and Priyanka Chopra?
Yes.
I haven't
Yes.
seen it because I
It's not
can't.
good. It is not good.
I mean,
But
it sounds horrible.
October, the
Hmm.
Varun Dhawan's
And
film.
I thought everyone liked it.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like, it's obviously different for him, but I thought it does have a strong dose of manic pixie dream girl, and I do not support that. But like, it's well performed. It was effective. Like,
Yeah.
um, Terranal Love Ho Gaya. I do not know this film. Jaga Jasus, that's our friend Asim from the Khandan podcast, and I know he won't mind that we say so. Yeah, I didn't know that was a hated film. I have to say,
I
again, it
haven't
doesn't work
seen
perfectly for me, but I really enjoyed quite a bit of it.
it's one of those films where like I have such a mixed relationship with Ranbir Kapoor movies because there's some movies of his that I really like. Then
Hmm.
there's some movies of his, like for example, I really like Rocket Singh, that or Wake Up Sid. Then there's some movies of him that I think the movie is awful, but he was really good in it. Like I really liked him in Sanju. I really liked him in
Yes.
Rockstar, even though the movies were
Yes.
problematic, right? Like
Yes.
he
Agree.
was, and then there's movies of him where I don't know what the heck is happening. There has only been one time in my life that I walked out of a movie theater because I just could not take it anymore. And that was actually a Ranbir Kapoor movie. It was Ajab Prem Ki Gazab Kahani. I was just like, what is happening? And I love a good rom-com. I love comedy. I don't mind Katrina Kaif. And I was just like, this is just boring. I'm not having fun. And I just left. So he's done some movies where it's like Jagga Jasus, Barfi. Barfi is probably one of those movies that I hate, but I know a lot of people like. And they're
Hmm.
going to be like, Pitu, you know nothing. You like, hello, brother, and you hate Barfi. You're a terrible, terrible person. But you know what? I'm not a film critic. So whatever. But yeah, Ranbir Kapoor does these movies where I'm just like, what are you doing, man? So I think Jagga Jesus is in that category.
Which I kind of like about him, because he uses his extreme sort of uh like safety net to do some,
Yeah,
he could do more interesting things, but he does a lot of relatively interesting things, so I
yeah.
like that about him. Okay, Kismet Connection, which I haven't seen, but I feel like I remember seeing on video store shelves.
Oh, I've seen this movie. It's Vidya Balan and Shahid Kapoor, right?
I think so.
Oh Jesus, Vidya is such a beautiful woman, and she had the worst haircut in this movie, and her entire wardrobe was terrible. And I remember this spawned a discussion between my friend and I, where we were like, "Do we think that Manish Malhotra was like sabotaging her by giving her the bad clothes because she's not friends with him or something?" It was so bad. And Shahid and Vidya had like the worst chemistry ever. And I think this is the movie that they were rumored to be dating during this time. So
Weird.
yeah.
I just had to search my list of films I've seen. I'm like, I don't think I've seen that. I have not seen that.
You'll not miss.
Thugs of Hindustan, which I turned off. I could not tolerate it. And I know I should, because I have people I trust say it's 70s style. I have not been able to watch that film, but I would
There
like to
is
try
something
again.
right in that movie. Oh my God.
Yeah, some of my very favorite Twitter people actually put that down. And
Okay.
I want to try again, because again, like, it's people I really deeply trust. Uh,
Yeah.
and on paper it sounds like a film I would like. So I gotta try
Yeah,
that.
on paper it sounded great. I was totally interested in it, and then I watched it for 5 minutes, and I was like, I hate it, but I have to hate watch the whole thing because it was part of my cousins and my film
Oh,
club.
that's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, a dear Twitter friend who I've never met in real life, but have known forever, Gunmaster G9, which I think should tell you something about this person's taste. If you know the
Gulshan
Mithun movie.
Devaiya.
No,
It has no. I don't
no,
know
it
this
has
movie.
Mithun.
Oh, okay.
One of the films he put down was Johnny Dushman, Ekanoki Kahani, which we all
Okay.
know. I think everyone loves that movie. Das Barbar Deko, Hasito Pasi, which I also really like.
That's cute.
Good Desi romance, same kind of category. Also a Yash Raj film, right? Half Girlfriend. I will question that one.
I've not seen it, but I've heard many problematic things about it.
There is no reason to watch that movie. Rangoon. I really liked Rangoon as well.
I did not see it.
Love Ajkal 2.
I watched it. It wasn't a patch on the original, but okay.
Rabta, to which I wrote, oh no, that movie was
That is
really
another movie I
bad.
didn't finish. I
Oh, that
wanted
movie
to
was
like
bad.
it. I wanted to like it. And I wanted to see if Sushant and Kriti really had this like sizzling chemistry or whatever. And I watched it for like 10 minutes and I was like, okay, this is rubbish. And then I switched it up.
That film, so I feel like Rabta was a mashup of Befikre, which was also not good, but had better like, we're young, we're in love, we're so like, we don't care. And then Magadira. It kind of put those two things together, and that's a weird mashup. Both of those films have strengths to them, and Magadira is obviously like a classic in its own way, but I was like, oh, nobody asked for this and it's not working.
It was just strange.
Yeah, it was not working. Lamhe, again, back to Yash Raj films. I didn't know anyone but me hated Lamhe. So
you hate Lamhe? No, Ben.
He slaps her in it.
But she's very pretty in that movie. She looks very beautiful by the fire.
I cannot. It's messed up. I cannot.
But I like the songs in it very much.
Sure.
And also it has Vahida in it.
Sure.
And it has camels. It's a very pretty movie.
We have Badmash Company. I remember that existing. I don't think I've seen it. Action Replay with 2 Ys. Don't forget.
I did not hate it.
And the person who put that up did the gif of Homer Simpson disappearing into the hedge. And from non-Indian films, I got a couple. One of them that I'll share is The Notebook.
Oh, The Notebook. Oh God, horrible. No, I can't touch anything Nicholas Sparks with a barge pole. So bad. I hate
that sounds very much not for me. I have never tried the book or the movie. That is a no, thank you. Not even on a plane would I watch that movie.
No. So fun story. I joined this like book club. So for some reason, even though I read so much and I have all my friends who read so much, I just don't like book clubs, but I always try. I'm always hopeful, right? So I joined this book club back in Chicago, and I thought there was this really nice girl at the book club, and we started chatting, and then we were talking about movies. I really liked her personality. She was really cute. And then
this is going.
Yeah, and then I was like, "What's your favorite book?" Blah blah blah. And then she's like, "I just love The Notebook," and I was like, oh. And then she was like, I just love Nicholas Sparks, don't you? In my head, I was like, darn it, we can't be friends. But she was so cute. I couldn't bring myself to say no. I was just like, he's okay. And then I think she wrote me off as well. So I don't like book clubs. But yeah, she wanted the book club to do Nicholas Sparks. And that's when I noped out of the book club.
No. All right. And then let me tell you the Shahrukh films that got nominated in my Twitter poll. So someone said Fan, which as discussed in our episode, we both really like. So no hate there, but obviously it didn't succeed quite the way that everyone, he certainly thought it was going to.
There are definitely people who don't like it. So I agree that it's a disliked film.
But there are people who really like it too, including some, professional critics and all. So, Zero got a couple of votes.
Zero is unwatchable.
I did not find it unwatchable, but I will never watch it again, certainly. And I think I said this in our Shahrukh episode, like, again, he's trying stuff and I really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Do I think that film was successful? No. Was it maybe ill-advised in a couple of ways that are significant? Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. I would watch it on a plane actually, but I don't plan
I
to.
actually liked Katrina in it. I enjoyed her as Babita Kumari or whatever her name was. I thought it's one of the few films where she's actually bothered to act. So, and I liked her as like a prima donna who's like throwing hissy fits, but the movie was unwatchable for me overall.
I just had this moment of like, oh yeah, he goes to space, doesn't he? I'd kind of forgotten that part.
Yeah.
A couple of people put Rawan, which I also like. Again,
Yeah.
don't love, but I like. Multiple votes for Jab Harry Met Sejal.
Oh Lord, no.
And including one person who said that they thought the reveal of where the ring had been all along was clever. And I was like, wait, did they say clever? They liked that anyway. And I was like,
Okay.
They said they thought it was a Freudian slip. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe, but
Okay.
okay.
I did not like that movie at all.
And then you will appreciate this one. I think Kank got a vote.
I love Kank. I have never understood why people hate Kank. I love tortured SRK, okay? I just love it when he's sneering and he's angry. And I have people who are like, I have so many friends who hate Kank, and they're like, he's a terrible father. He bullies his kid. I'm like, I don't care. And then they're like, he's awful to his wife. I'm like, I don't care. And then they're like, he's terrible in general. I'm like, but he's hot.
And he and Rani always have good chemistry, so that that works.
Yes, and
but
like
I also love Rani and Abhishek. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I just really like all those performances, and one of the things I love about Kank is the scene where Preeti Zinta slaps him because she's like, "You are a terrible man-child and a terrible person in general," and she slaps him. So I'm like, the movie acknowledges that he's a terrible person. What more do you want? But also, he's hot. I love tortured SRK. It's my favorite subgenre of SRK movies, which is also why I love Jab Tak Hai Jaan.
So that's kind of the major findings from Twitter that I wanted to share. You've named some of yours. Tell me a couple more.
I really love Apne. Have you seen Apne?
No. Why does it speak to you?
Because it has Dharmendra, Sunny Deol, who is my absolute favorite. I love Sunny Deol. He's my twin soul. He is Pitu in male body, and I am Sunny Deol in female body. And it has Bobby Deol as well. So the three of them are in the movie, and it's this batshit film about like boxing because they're like boxers. And but it's such a weep fest, and Apne literally means loved ones. So it's basically a Deol family love fest, and it's about how much the basic plot point of the movie is like Dharmendra loves Sunny, and Sunny loves Dharmendra, and Dharmendra loves Bobby, and Bobby loves Dharmendra, and Bobby and Sunny love each other. It's just let's just love each other all the time, but also there's boxing and like blood and everything. So I love it, and every time I've seen Apne, I've cried. So I love it unironically.
Does it have sort of because when you describe it, it has sort of a Rajshri sound to it. Does it feel that way? Okay.
It could. I mean, the way I described it, where like it's all about them loving each other.
It's
and
all about loving your family.
Exactly. And it's all about the Deols. I mean, I can see how someone would think it was Rajshri, but see, here's the thing. They're macho men and they're boxers. And so there's blood and everything. So I like that. I like that they're in the boxing ring and there's boxing gloves and they're macho and they're doing it, So it's more like Rocky, but if Rocky was super hormonal and emotional. And if Rocky had like a dad and a brother. You have to see it. I love this movie so much.
I'm not completely sold, but I can get. I mean, I'm on record in this very podcast as being I love the Deol situation. Yeah. I'm all for that. I'll watch Dharmendra and basically anything. But for some reason I haven't seen this, and I can picture the poster and how it's like, isn't it kind of soft focus and they're all like in it together?
Yeah. It was a gigantic hit in Punjab. It was a gigantic hit in Punjab, Haryana, all of those like basically Jutland. And I remember all of my friends, because I'm from Mumbai, and in Mumbai everyone was like snickering at it, and all my friends were like too cool. And I was like this scared person where I was like, has anyone seen the trailer for Apne? And people are like, what? And I was like, the trailer for Apne, do you want to talk about it? They were like, no, because everyone was too cool for it. And then I was like, I need some friends from like the Haryanvi heartland. So it was too good.
What you were saying about they were too cool for it, I don't know if you ever look at Dharmendra on Twitter, but he is not too cool for anything.
I follow him on Instagram and he's adorable. And I also follow
So
Sunny
like
Paji.
this is it, right? Like Grandpa Dharmendra, who is just open-hearted. I almost never understand exactly what he's saying because he usually tweets in languages I don't know. But I just get this sense of like he loves everything. He's being positive. He's like looking back at his career with like, wow, this was so much fun. I was so lucky. I worked with such great people. And like, I really
He's very like
appreciate that.
nostalgic and emotional. He's very earnest. That's the thing about the Deols. They're all very earnest. Like I follow Sunny Paji on Instagram as well. And I've also direct messaged him many times, which he has never replied, which is very sad to me.
Someday.
But like literally the man literally does not have like a PR team. My favorite Sunny Paji photo on Instagram that I've saved actually is a picture of him at his farmhouse. And he's at like this big table and he's I don't know what the word is in English. He's sorting mustard leaves.
Oh,
like there's a pile of mustard leaves and he's sorting them. And it's literally like the caption is just like busy. And I'm like, adorable. What? He's so adorable. But yeah, so Apne is very like, it's basically a very sincere movie. It's very emotional. It's all about how they're the Deols and they're manly and they're macho, but they also love each other. So it's basically a love fest and it has some very sentimental music. And the title song is Apne to Apne Hote Hain, which means our loved ones are our loved ones, which I don't know what else they could be. It's like water is water. Yeah. But I love it. And at emotional moments in the movie, they start this music and they're like, Apne to apne hote hai. And then I always cry.
There's more than one Apne film, is there not?
They made a second one and I wanted to love it, but I didn't. The original is very good. So I enjoyed that much. Yeah, you should watch it. It's very good.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not going to rush out and see it, but I understand your argument. I don't know if it'll work for me, but I do understand what you're saying.
Yes, it's very earnest and it's very unironic. It's not cool at all, but none of the Deol films have ever been cool. They're always very like raw and emotional, which is what I love so much about them.
I mean, again, I bet some early Dharmendra films are very cool. And some of Dharmendra is very cool.
Dharmendra is cooler, but I don't think Sunny Paji was ever cool. Sunny Paji had no interest in being cool.
And Bobby, like obviously we've had the Bobby Renaissance and the Bobby Sans. Yeah. So he is cool now. Maybe, don't know, very confusing, but I enjoy him.
He was cool when he debuted. I mean, he was cool in Barsat and Soldier and all those. He was also very good looking. Yeah, he was also very good looking, I thought. I mean, he never did anything for me, but I recently understand.
I recently watched Bichu and I really enjoyed that too.
I mean, when I was compiling my list for this episode and I was thinking of movies that I really enjoy that people seem to hate, I was surprised at how many times Bobby Deol's name came up. Because Apne was in it, of course, and then Jhum Barabar Jhum was in it, and I was like, for someone who's never had any interest in Bobby Deol, I sure seem to enjoy his movies. So I don't know. What else was on my list? We still haven't come to your list. You have been hiding it.
I know. I'm very willing to be out there with my
unpopular I enjoy Jaane Man. Have you seen Jaane Man?
I have. I don't remember it terribly well, but I mean, I love Pretty Zinta, so that would carry a lot for me.
It's also one of the few movies in which I actually do enjoy Salman Khan. I think my only Salman Khan movies that I enjoy are Dabangg. I do like him very much in Bajrangi Bhaijaan. It's just such a feel-good movie.
Oh yeah, and that was cute.
And I do enjoy him a lot in Jaane Man. But I never hear anyone talk about it. And Jaane Man also has a really good soundtrack. So I don't know. I like that movie. I don't love it, but I like it. And then my list, of course, is Jeans, which is one of my favorite films of all time. I've seen it in Hindi and Tamil. And I love Jeans. And I stand by India's decision to send it to the Oscars.
I love how your face is scrunched into like kind of face when you said that. Like you can't even just talk calmly about it. Like you're on the defensive already.
Yes, I'm in the boxing ring with Jeans. I'm like, I love Jeans, but you can't make me not like it.
Okay, so I've never seen Jeans. Should I watch the Hindi or the Tamil?
They're both very good. You should watch both.
I'm probably not going to watch both.
Okay. Then watch the Tamil, because
Okay.
I prefer the Tamil, and even though the music is the same, it just sounds better in the Tamil.
Sure. All right. Maybe that will be what I watch this evening.
Maybe you will be Jeans convert too.
I might. I've never heard anything about it that makes me think I'd hate it or anything. The 90s and I have a very uneasy relationships, and I haven't tried that one. So.
Okay. No, I think you'll like it, because you do also very much like Aishwarya.
I do.
And it has very good music. Everyone likes the music in it. It's A.R. Rahman at his kind of like his peak, I guess. So it's an enjoyable movie. And I never really focus much on the actor. His name is Ajit, but he's good too. So yeah, Jeans is also a movie enjoy. Okay, now tell us what you love that everyone else hates.
Okay, so some of these will not be a surprise to people who have read my blog or heard me on the Khandan podcast or other places, but this first one I think I have not said much about publicly for a long time. I loved Bombay Velvet.
I've not seen it.
I thought, and there's going to be a theme to my films, and we were already talking about it, which is this film really went for it.
Okay.
And the more movies I see, the more I appreciate when someone has a vision, everyone's working towards it. Obviously, it helps if you also align with the vision as a viewer. Right. But and I guess that I must have in this case. And I'm not necessarily a Kashyap mega fan. I don't dislike him automatically, but often his stuff is not for me, as discussed with Gangs of Wasseypur, which is just not a film that speaks to me. But I really love Bombay Velvet. I think Ranbir's performance is out there, and it's full, and it's big. All the other cast is really good. Like, it was a great funny use of Johar in a sort of stunt cast thing, but that worked for me. Anushka is sort of lovely and interesting, and it's got this sort of fable feel to it almost. It's almost like it's got that kind of urban fairy tale to it. It looks beautiful. The music was interesting. Like I really like it. I've never rewatched it, I should say. I saw it when it came out. I haven't touched it since, but I remember just loving that film and being so confused by the criticism of it, which I have not looked up again. I should say that I should have actually looked that up and to see what the complaints about it were.
That's what I was going to ask you. I wasn't aware that people hated Bombay Velvet. I know a lot of people, including me, who haven't seen it, but I think that we didn't see it only because it just wasn't marketed very well, if I remember. It's kind of the same issue as Man Marziya, which I watched. Man Marziya is like
that too.
Yeah, but they didn't market it at all. It's like it was released in the theaters, and I was like, who? What? And someone was like, did you see Man Marziya? I hadn't even heard of it. And I enjoyed it when I watched it. I liked Taapsee Pannu in it a lot. I loved Vicky Kaushal. He was so good in that movie. But no one's ever heard of it. So there's these movies that I don't know. Yeah, they make them and then they don't promote them. And it's like, how am I supposed to know about this movie if you won't promote it? So I feel like Bombay Velvet was in that category where it's like people didn't even know it came out.
But it also is I mean, yes, it's men being violent, but otherwise it's fairly different from Gangs of Wasseypur. And so I feel like some of the Kashyap fanboys, and they are boys, they're like, and they're, like, they couldn't handle it for some reason. So I don't know. And maybe it was more the people who didn't like it were very loud than actually big in number. But I remember people being really annoyed about that film and disappointed. And I thought Kashyap went on, was making statements on Twitter about not making movies anymore and blah, blah, blah. If I remember right, please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about this. But anyway, I loved it. I would recommend it to you. You can add it to your, what is Ranbir doing now kind of category, and see if it works for you.
Okay.
Another of mine is, I have talked about this at length, so I don't want to bore anyone, but I swear word, love Detective Byomkesh Bakshy.
Oh, I like that one too. It's cute.
I think that movie is fantastic, top to bottom, in all directions. I love everything about it. Now, I have not read any of the Byomkesh books, but I have watched a lot of adaptations in multiple languages. Amrita and Sujoy and I did a whole Byomkesh adaptation podcast series, called Tolly Folly, if anyone is interested. I love everything about it. It is so stylish. It is so thorough. The performances are so interesting and layered. It stands up as a mystery really well for me. And I've seen it at least 5 times. The
Wow.
music is superb. It is so interesting and varied. I just love everything about it. And it's kind of like filmy in ways that I love. And then it pulls back from that in ways that really work for me. It really makes use of the Calcutta setting is so good. And I'm on record as saying this too. People looking for things in Calcutta is a favorite micro genre of mine. There's a few movies that fall into that, and like it's always Kahani, teen. Like I love people looking for things in Calcutta. So, and obviously that encompasses a lot of detective films, and Bengali cinema makes a lot of good detective films. So good. But
I wasn't aware that people didn't like Byomkesh.
People were so disappointed
Really?
in it, and I don't
I
know
really liked it.
why.
Oh,
I don't know why. There's a joke about, a lot of people complained about the kind of potatoes that were being served at the India Coffee House being incorrect, and you're like,
oh dear. So it was basically people being pedantic, maybe.
probably.
Okay.
But I know, and I think about a mystery. If a mystery doesn't work for you, that's not an argument really that you can have. Like it either does or it doesn't. Okay, if you're frightfully clever and you figure everything out ahead of time, then maybe you don't enjoy this. All right, then there's probably a lot of detective things that disappoint you, and I'm sorry you can't enjoy more things, but maybe I'm just distractible enough or whatever that I got swept along and was in the mystery. I don't know.
One of the advantages of not being a very clever person is that is that I actually really enjoy detective movies and like whodunits because I never see anything coming.
Me neither. Me neither.
I'm always like, what? There's this like big reveal, and I'm like, oh my God. And my husband just looks at me like, you did not figure that out in the first 15 minutes. And I'm like, no. So it's great. Like, you really enjoy it. It's the other thing is like, I also have a horrible memory that all my friends know. And like, anytime they're like, how did you not remember this? And I'm like, listen, I have the memory of a flea. The other advantage of having a really terrible movie is that memory is that things are always new for me.
Goldfish.
There's always novelty. Yeah, I'm always like, wow. So sometimes I feel like my spirit animal, apart from being Sunny Deol, is the dog, Doug from the movie Up. I'm basically Doug because he's like, squirrel. That's basically me. So I do enjoy not being a very clever person because it doesn't spoil whodunits for me at all. So it's great.
And before we leave this film, I don't want to take our tone down, but the loss of Sushant Singh Rajput is very real, and he was a truly amazing performer, I think. And
yeah,
I wish there had been more of these films, and I wished it before he was gone. But I just the fact that this film didn't succeed, I think probably kiboshed a bunch of other interesting projects for Tabakar Banerjee with Yash Raj, which was a combination that in theory those were not necessarily two great tastes that would taste great together, but I thought that was so good. And I'm sad for what didn't happen on a variety of fronts. But anyway, with that, let me turn it back to you for some more, like, bring us back up a bit. What are some of your other choices?
I think I've spoken in the Shahrukh episode about how much I enjoy Jab Tak Hai Jaan. I just like that movie. He's brooding, he's hot, he has like a really nice French friend. Shahrukh in a French word really does it for me. Like Chak De India, that is my favorite Shahrukh look, by the way. Like him in Chak De India,
With the
I didn't
stubble.
like him clean shaven as much. Yeah. And also when he's like brooding and he's like sad because he's been hurt, but he's keeping it. And that is very much a look I enjoy. So I like Jab Tak Hai Jaan for that. The only thing about Jab Tak Hai Jaan that I don't like is Anushka Sharma. And Katrina is okay, whatever, but at least she has some chemistry with him in that. What is that song that they did? Ishq Shava, whatever. They're good in that. But I remember having an argument with someone where I was like, oh my God, I enjoyed that movie. And they were like, that is the stupidest movie ever. And I was like, why? And then they were like, it makes no sense. Shahrukh is a waiter for the longest time in London. And then he goes back to India and then he joins the army and he becomes a bomb diffusion expert. And I was like, why is that bad? And they were like, first of all, you need like an engineering degree to become a bomb squad anything in the Indian Army. You can't come and join the army at like a more mature, like an older age. There is no way this guy would be hired into the bomb squad of the Indian Army. And for him to, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't care about all these stupid arguments you're making. And then this person just looked at me like, there's no point arguing with this woman. And I was like, no, there isn't.
It's funny how sometimes something that's illogical will grab us and like not, we can't let go of that. And sometimes
Yeah.
we can. So like, I think it's always worth asking yourself, why does this particular version of illogicalness bother me so much?
Yeah.
And sort of a similar kind of thing is like, I'll hear people complain about Ayushmann Khurrana's films and how they're all the same formula. And I'm like, we all love formulaic films. It's not the fact that it's a formula that bothers you. There's something about this formula that bothers you, and I don't know what it is. And that's fine. But don't just say like, this is illogical or this is too formulaic. Like, we all love formula films. Shut up. That's not the actual problem.
That's a good point you made. And it's actually making me think, because I'm one of those people who is sick and tired of Ayushmann Khurrana. And I have used the exact same argument where I'm like, all his films are the same.
I mean, a lot of everybody's films are the same, right? So what is it about? And, you know, in his case, is it perhaps they're a little smug, right? Like maybe it's that. Now that doesn't bother me for whatever reason. Like I actually like all these movies, but
he's actually not that likable himself. He's actually quite smug. So maybe it's that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I definitely find myself completely turned off by Ayushmann Khurrana's movies. But I've also made this argument about Akshay Kumar, where I just like, I'm so sick and tired of watching Akshay Kumar everywhere. And like his movies, he just phones it in. He doesn't work hard at all. It's so terrible.
That is a more specific complaint that I think is that like, I totally get that. Yeah. And especially someone who, when he was younger, I mean, I haven't seen a ton of his early films, but like, he's so energetic. He's really fun to watch.
He was amazing.
Very engaging. And if you find him sort of like low energy now, that would be disappointing if nothing else, right? So I get that.
I'm just thinking out aloud over here, so it's not a fully formulated thought, but I was wondering if with the Ayushmann Khurrana films, maybe what I don't like is the insincerity. It almost feels like he has like a Google Doc where he's literally like, he has a list of social evils that he wants to tackle. And he's like, okay, in this movie, I will tackle the issue of impotence. In this movie, I will tackle the plight of blah. So it almost feels like kind of like this academic exercise. Maybe that's it. I don't know, because I can watch all of the 90 Shahrukh films, which are all cookie cutter, and I have no problem. One of my favorite films of all time is Karan Arjun, and that is formulaic every way. Yeah. It is the most formulaic film of all time, and I love it, and I can watch it. I can watch it today if you make me watch it. Yeah. But something about Ayushmann Khurrana, maybe it is the smugness, like you said, and maybe it's just like it feels like he has a list. It's literally like you're thinking, what is the next movie he's going to make and what issue is that going to be about?
And like, it's interesting that we blame him for that, because he does not make these movies by himself. Like people cast him, people make these productions, right? So like, it's like all these scripts kind of sitting around or like being percolated. And when one or two of his early ones were successful of this type, people were like, that's who I get to do my thing that I've always wanted to solve about society, or my statement I've always wanted to make, right? Like, it's not his fault. And we're all watching him and buying tickets. So like, it's our fault eventually.
Well, maybe if that movie, but see, that's the thing too. It's like overconsumption. Like at this point, I'm bored of Ayushmann Khurrana. I don't want to see him. I'm bored of Akshay Kumar. Don't want to see him. And I also don't want to see Alia Bhatt anymore. I do think she's a wonderful actress. And I very much enjoyed Darlings and Gangubai Kathiawadi, both of which came out in this year. But I'm just tired of seeing her also Brahmastra. She's just too much everywhere. And I just wish that other people would be doing these roles. So maybe if there's like a script that's going to go to Ayushmann Khurrana, but instead of going to him, if Rajkumar Rao does it or Vicky Kaushal does it, I would be maybe.
I mean, they're pretty close on that list though, right? Like they're not too far from this same.
Rajkumar Rao especially.
Yeah. And he's the better actor of those two, although I think Ayushmann is a perfectly fine actor. But yeah, Rajkumar Rao will bring a little something extra to it usually that other people may not. So yeah. Or just give it to, maybe a woman could solve some of the problems.
I was just thinking that, like, that would be cool too. Like, I really want to see more of Tripti Dimri, who was in Bobo. She was so good. I want to see more Yami Gautam. I don't know where she is and what she's doing, but I think because she was in Vicky Donor, and I thought she was good in that. Have I seen any Yami Gautam movies apart from that?
Did you see her superhero film with Hrithik? where he's
No.
blind?
No, I couldn't get through it. Kabil, I watched 10 minutes of it and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I love Hrithik Roshan. That is another person who needs to get out from his father's thumb. Hrithik Roshan and Varun Dhawan both need to cut the umbilical cord. They both need to stay away from their dads and do their own thing because their fathers just keep dragging them down this old, boring route of formula. Yeah, I think Rakesh Roshan and David Dhawan should both retire. So
I forgot that Yami was in Boot Police, which is
which I've
cute.
not seen.
You should watch that. Okay, do another a thing that you hate. What's another one?
Wait, this episode is supposed to be things we love, Beth.
Or love. Sorry, love. Things we love.
I don't think there's that many movies that I love that are hated by most people. I think when people really hate something, a lot of times I find myself aligning with that thought process. For example, for me, one of the most gigantic red flags in a person is if they like Kabir Singh. Typically, I'm very tolerant of people liking things that, I mean, I have to be. I'm someone who loves Hello Brother. I'm someone who loves, all of these terrible films I love. So I have to be tolerant. But when someone is like, I love Kabir Singh, I'm like, no, I will not be friends with you. I don't want to talk to you. Please go away. So there's stuff like that. But then I feel like everyone normal hated Kabir Singh. So typically the things I love just tend to be like a little bit fringe, which people don't seem to enjoy for some reason. Like there's a lot of Govinda movies from the 90s that I really enjoy. I love Raja Babu and Dulhe Raja. They're all problematic. They're all terrible, but his comic timing is so good. There's this movie he did with Sanjay Dutt, Hasina Maan Jayegi. I've watched that movie so many times, and there's dialogues in it that I literally quote in my like normal life. Like someone was complaining to me about how their boss was being really difficult and their job was like annoying the heck out of them. And I was like, प्यार में बहुत पापड़ बेलने पड़ते हैं मन्नू. And then there's a dialogue where he's like, control yaar, वो नहीं होता यार, oh control yaar. I love that. So there's these very quotable like Govinda, David Dhawan films from the 90s that I love, but I don't think anyone hates them though. I think people point out the obvious, which is that a lot of them are extremely problematic now. David Dhawan in general is a very problematic person, but Govinda just lights up the screen when he's on it, and he's just so funny. So I don't really think I love too many things that people hate. I think some of the Shahrukh Khan films that I love are probably the ones that are very polarizing, like Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna and Jab Tak Hai Jaan. Like one of the criticisms that people make about Kank is one that I've never understood. I literally had a person who looked at me and said, it's a movie that promotes infidelity. And I was like, how? It's just like, it doesn't promote it. It's just like, it's part of the script. Do you not understand the fact that like, that's a script? So there's these very strange moralistic takes that people have on Kank.
Yeah.
I suspect those people would also hit Silsila. And I'm just kind of like, okay. Right? I mean, if you think Kank promotes infidelity, you're going to think the same about Silsila, which I think is a
I don't feel like
movie.
I've ever heard anyone say they hate Silsila really.
But logically, you should. If you
mean, it kills off Shashi very early, and that's not nice for some of us, but that's not a reason to hate the movie. I know that. I want to talk about one more that I love that a lot of people hate, and I actually don't know, I think, where you fall on this, and many people said this to me when I asked on Twitter. Again, they might know because I agree. I love and will defend to my dying day Aiyyaa. I
actually really enjoyed Aiyyaa.
I think it is stupendous, and people just
hated
it. And for some of those people, I think the problem is that they have a woman who's acting like a man in a lot of films, right? It's about her desire, the ridiculous steps that she takes to, get towards her desire and things like that. And that sort of beyond all sense, it is returned and everything. And we're like, how many times have we seen this with the genders, with genders another way, right? We've seen it a million times and you don't question it. But when we flip it, suddenly it's a problem. I think it is a deeply feminist film, and I think a lot of people don't like it for that reason. However, I do know women who are feminists, and probably some other people who are feminists who also hate it. And so it's not just that, but I will never understand why people hate this film so much. And it is weird and
I
it is
love that
goofy.
movie.
And it is a spectacular performance from Rani Mukherjee, who is probably my favorite working actor anyway. But it is stupendous. And I think if people have a problem with it, they need to look at what that says about them actually, because I really don't see, I'm really going way out on a limb by saying that, but I honestly, like, you got to think about what you're reacting to sometimes. And it applies to me too. I'm trying to think of things that I hate that everyone else loves we've done that episode, and like, I'm sure there are things I need to re-examine.
Yeah.
So it's not
With
that either of us is immune, but
I think with Aiyyaa, people fall into two camps based on the conversations I've had, because I too greatly enjoy Aiyyaa, and the soundtrack of Aiyyaa is actually one of my
it's
favorites.
good. Yeah.
I love it. Like, my cousin and I have performed the songs from that movie at Sangeets multiple times, and there's that belly dancing song in it, Agabai Halla Machaye Re. My cousin who learned belly dancing does such a good job. Like, we love the
That
soundtrack.
song, I will just go back and watch in isolation.
Amazing.
It
So
is
good.
a masterclass
Yeah.
in
And
how
then
to put a
Dreamam
song in a
Vikapam,
film.
Dreamam Vikapam is the greatest, like, homage to Tathaya Tathaya, Nano Me Sapna that I've ever seen. It is so good. It is so raunchy. And when I saw it for the first time, I was just like, Rani Mukherjee did it. She went there. It's like when Vidya Balan wholeheartedly embraced the raunchiness of the dirty picture.
Yeah.
And this is something that I found very interesting. So I do understand that there's two camps. Okay, so there's two kinds of people who don't like Aiyyaa. There's the camp that has a problem with the genders being reversed, and they're clearly very offended by it. And I'm not friends with those people.
Yeah.
I've heard that criticism, but that's not what my friends say. The thing that I think bothers some people about Aiyyaa is that they don't know where it's going, because it's not a very linear film, and it's weird. Like you said, it's weird and it's goofy, and it's a little bit meandering, and there's these threads in it that people are not able to understand. For example, the whole thing about the garbage, and it's like being smelly, and this guy smells good. So I think there's little things about, and then the fact that she's always off in like imaginary land. So I think all of those things that actually make the movie so special were a little bit weird for people. And maybe if those things were removed from it, which would actually make the movie a lot more cookie cutter, I think it would have appealed to those people more.
And it's interesting because, like, a lot of films meander, like hello comic subplots, hello stupid Johnny Lever stuff. Like, a mainstream Hindi film, you could, I think, argue quite successfully, does meander often.
Yeah.
So again, that meandering doesn't bother you, but this meandering does. What's actually going on there?
It's also a movie that you don't really know where it's going, which is what I liked about it, because it's not formulaic. It's not like, I think people want that formula where it's kind of like, for example, I did not enjoy Ranjana. I loved Dhanish's acting in it. He was amazing. I mean, he was just so good, but I did not enjoy Ranjana. But movies like Ranjana are so much more formulaic, right? Where it's like, this happens, then that happens, then that happens, then that happens. But Aiyyaa, you don't really have that. It's not like these building blocks that just keep building. It's just kind of like, it's more like you're in for a ride and you don't know what's going to happen. So it's a little unpredictable. And I think people don't like unpredictable movies. I think if Aiyyaa was less unpredictable and it was a little bit more cookie cutter, it actually would have done well, is my suspicion, but I don't know. But I do enjoy that movie very much. And that is one movie where I think it's like Fan, in that it's polarizing. Yeah. And then there were some people, again, I'm not friends with these people, but there were some people that were very offended by Dreamam Vikapam and some of the raunchiness in the songs. And yet these are people that don't have a problem with, some of the so many raunchy Rain songs that we have, for instance. And I'm like, okay, so basically you have a problem with a woman owning her sexuality, is what you're saying.
And
okay,
the visualization of the desire is hers, not his. It's like, ooh, so subversive.
So this is a good litmus test. This is one of those movies that's a good litmus test, where it's like, if you ask someone, if you want to know if you're going to get along with somebody, you can be like, what are your feelings on Aiyyaa? This should be like a friend interview thing, right? Where you're like, what do you think about Aiyyaa? And then if they say they don't like it, then you give them a chance. You're like, okay, what about it didn't you like? And if they say any of the things where they're like, they're saying she has too much agency, you're like, nope.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Do you have any others you want to add to our list of loves?
No, but I think people should watch Apne.
So if I watch it, I will report back, of course, but I feel like I'm going to watch if you like Rangila, you will like
God, yeah.
God. I think that speaks to me for this evening for some reason. So maybe that's
Yeah,
what
watch
I'll do.
God. It's a rollicking good ride. It's a lot of fun. I've never understood why people did not like God when they like Rangila, because they are kind of similar. God is not as good as Rangila is. I will admit that. But it's fun.
Which one came first?
Oh, Rangila came first for sure.
Okay, that might be why.
I watched God in the movie theater because I love Rangila so much. And so I was like, this is going to be. And I remember Dod when it was released, it had a lot of buzz around it for that reason, because people were like, it's Ram Gopal Verma plus Urmila Matondkar plus A.R. Rahman. It was basically marketed and pitched as that. Like, basically, the team is back, except you don't have Jackie and Amir, you have Sanjay Dutt instead, who, by the way, sleepwalks through this movie. He's kind of terrible. He's not good at all. And him and Urmila have no chemistry, which
That's
I
a weird
think
pair.
It's a weird pair, and it just doesn't work, because her chemistry with Jackie Shroff, oh my God, and also with Amir Khan was so good in Rangila. But you should watch Dod, and you should also watch Apne. And I'll watch Bombay.
Everybody, please tell us in the comments, if you haven't already responded to me on Twitter, please tell us a movie you love that other people hate. And if you're brave enough, you can say what you think people got wrong about it, because that really is, the core here, I think, is like, we need to all think about what it is that we like and we don't like. You can like it if you want to, but you should think about it, because although on Twitter, a lot of people are like, I know this movie doesn't hold up to scrutiny, I just love it. So like, okay, you've tried to think about it, you've decided you don't want to, you still love it, that's okay too. But you got to learn something about yourself a little bit when you watch things. So I'm not sure what our next topic will be on Filmi Ladies, but we've got a couple interesting things in the works, including a friendly appearance from a longtime blog and Twitter, etc. friend who you will enjoy hearing from. But we'll be back every Tuesday with a new episode. Like, share, subscribe. Please notice the new YouTube handle, which is @FilmiLadies, because yay, YouTube lets people pick their handles even before you get to 100, but we're almost there. So please subscribe if you haven't. And we will see you next time on Filmi Ladies. Bye.
Bye.